First off, we're going to welcome everyone. This is campaign creation and execution. This is kind of a follow-on to the webinar we had last week where we went through our 5 steps for ABM success. We have more webinars coming up throughout the end of the year, and you can see those listed over there. So if you haven't, you can go to our website and sign up. Otherwise, you can check your email and be sure and join us for all of them or whichever ones, catch your interest. All right. So we've got a guest panel today. I am Kyle Dugan, Director of Digital Marketing here at Sixth Sense. We've also got Ashley and Kim from Flexential and Hope and Serge from ROI DNA, and I will let them give a brief intro to themselves before we kick this off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Hirschbeck, Director of Demand Gen here at Flexential, working very, very much in the trenches with all things ABM, Demand Gen, and operations. So with respect to our campaign work and all of that encompasses. Super excited to be here and share some insights today.
Hello, everybody. Kim Johnston here, dialing in from Denver, Colorado. I'm responsible for what they call revenue marketing, which is demand gen, or what we affectionately like to call the rainmakers. So have a pretty large span of all the demand gen channels, and ABM and the effort that we're going to talk about today is a big part of what we do for a living. So I share Ashley's excitement about this topic. We literally could talk all day, but I know we have limited time. Hope, you're up next.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Hope Wagoner here, Associate Team Director on the Media Strategy team at ROI DNA. I work directly with clients to really help them build out their ABX strategy and their paid media strategy, working extremely close with Kim and Ashley here on Flexential. I'm based in Des Moines, Iowa, but from Nebraska, so I'm really happy to see all the Nebraskans in the chat. All right, Serge.
Thanks, Hope. I'm Serge, Managing Director of ROI DNA, a longtime agency guy, prior life client-side guy. I do managing director things day to day. Today, my role is to chime in as the sort of hype man and a few expert tips, and also to represent the Kim, Ashley, and Hope fan club.
Nice. Okay, so a little bit about Sixth Sense real quick. We were founded on trying to answer one simple question, and that is, wouldn't it be easier for marketing and sales if we just knew who was looking at our product? That's a tough one to answer, but that's what Sixth Sense seeks out to do. And then with that, we can hop over to the next slide. So what Sixth Sense really tells you is which, when, who, how, and what. And that goes back to which accounts are the best fit to go after. When should these accounts be gone after, right? Gone after, I forget that. Anyways, when they're in market, right? So when they're ready to go through these stages, or is it purchase, decision, consideration, awareness? Who is the right person on the buying team to contact? How to contact them? And then also what, and that is what to say. And thanks to generative AI, sometimes it's even saying it for you. So that's a little bit about Sixth Sense.
Great. All right. Well, good to hear all those things. And yes, I love those. I love that one question, Kyle, very much. Guys, Ashley and I have the great pleasure of representing Flexential on the call today. We are a co-location company that also offers customized IT solutions in the cloud and data protection space. And what sets us apart from other data center companies is that we take a very tailored approach to understand the client and then create a set of very unique approaches and solutions to support that. We've been in the business for a long time. We've got decades of experience across all of these IT challenges and all the things that are going on in the marketplace, AI included, and enjoy that business very much in North America. And then I think, Serge, you're going to talk a little bit about ROI.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So a bit about ROI DNA. We're a kick-ass B2B marketing agency founded back in 2009. We're coming up on our 15th birthday in October. So I don't know, maybe we'll have some birthday cake at the end of this webinar to celebrate. Our vision is to be the best damn partner in the universe, the best damn digital partner in the universe. Universe is a big place. we have big shoes to fill here. Our mission on top of that is to deliver ginormous impact. We use this ginormous all caps all the time to like emphasize the amount of stuff we do. And if you all had been at Breakthrough 2023, you would have seen some pretty ginormous numbers that Kim and I presented with a couple of our pals. We partner with the best Path Factory qualified, of course, 6 Sense. I'd be remiss in not mentioning that one. Part of the Hotwire Global Group. So as part of that, we can actually deliver like truly localized, regionalized global solutions. We delivered about 14 billion in revenue and counting. I think we're probably going to bump that up to 15 for our 15th birthday. Most importantly, though, like what is really we're really all about is we're all about our people, our team members, and our clients. We're built on bringing our whole selves to work, being inventive, and like fanatically committed to doing it right. And the most important one is we enforce a strict no assholes rule, and that means clients and internal folks. If you're going to be at Breakthrough in Vegas next month, we will have T-shirts that say that on the back, and they're always a big hit.
Very nice. I think everyone can appreciate that rule for, clients, customers, partners. This is the no asshole zone. So if you have questions, put them in the Q&A and we will answer those. And we'll get to those here in a little bit. This is also being recorded. I put that in chat, but just in case anyone else has questions, we will have this recorded and send this out later. So this is our ABM campaign creation and execution. Let's hop right into it. So what are the 5 steps? We covered this last week, but just a quick reminder. It starts with selecting the best accounts. Then we want to know about them. Then we're going to engage the right way. We're going to collaborate with sales with these accounts. And then lastly, we're going to track real stuff. Just a brief intro, and then I will be covering a quick intro to the steps as we get started. And I will kick this back over to Kim for the lay of the land.
Yeah, you bet. So I would call this step 0 in Kyle's 5 steps. It's the context behind the campaign that we built. So we entered this year with a very, very hot new initiative from the top, and that was to go after a different set of cohorts, a little different than our typical ideal customer profile, to sell a particular type of product, combination of products that we have in the portfolio. And so a lot of what's going to be talked about here is so perfect to exactly how we did it. It was very important for us to understand the target audience and the surface space that we had, like how big is that audience, and to understand that profile very specifically. We also knew that the buying team would be similar to what we're used to in our typical ICP, but we knew there would be some differences, and it would be very important for us to understand those nuances so that we could orchestrate an approach that took advantage of those nuances. We did have existing customers who had bought this combination of products from us. So it wasn't exactly new to the company. It was more new to marketing, having a very, very direct program to get traction in the space. It was also not new that we had a partner ecosystem that participated in this selling cycle. So we knew that would be a component that we would need to take advantage of and support and enable to make it happen. The good news is that we also, good news is that ever good news to know that speed is the word. We knew also that the sales cycle was going to be a little longer. So that meant that we had to put a lot of pressure or a lot of speed into the creation and execution in the front part of the year so that we could get traction and get through the sales cycle inside the fiscal year. So there were a lot of opportunities in this initiative and a lot of challenges for us to be thoughtful about in terms of how we built and designed the campaign as well as execute it. So with that, let's get into the steps. Ashley, I think you're going to walk us through the first couple.
Yeah, I will just cover this really quick. Step 1, we're going to select the best accounts, right? We're going to align on these accounts. We're going to make sure that we have alignment with sales on this. And that's basically it for step one.
Needing to be prospects or former customers. I think something that's important to know too is that we didn't do a blanket approach to, okay, we're going to check box the prospect and former customer criteria in Salesforce when we're building this list. We made sure that we had internal conversations about which former customers, and that criteria within that cohort made the most sense, right? That would be viable for this particular product set and offering. And of course, after all filtering, we wanted to make sure that we had a very even distribution of accounts we were going after with our sales territories, proportional to each of their goals, keeping in mind what is that territory's pipeline goal for this particular initiative. For example, we want to be sure that we're supporting in accordance, right? And weighting that. The magic, of course, is at the end of the day, we've got all of our boxes checked and we've loaded our final list into 6 Sense. And that's when the magic happens, where 6 Sense's predictive model can take that final list that we had filtered down, categorize that by buying journey stage, and that allows us to do all of our great campaign work. And then, of course, as I mentioned and alluded to, the expert tip is put in all that research, right? So refining our targets really came from deep research and internal collaboration. Understanding and profiling those accounts, their triggers, how they engage, what do they look like from a technographic and firmographic standpoint, and using your whole stack to conduct said research.
Awesome. Hey, Ashley, some people didn't hear anything from the beginning, so I really hate to do this, but could you give us just like a brief run through again?
Oh, no. Yes, no problem. I'll be speedy in the interest of time. And of course, information will be sent out following, I'm sure, and transcript. But we tapped into our MarTech stack. So we have some account intelligence tools in our stack that helped us develop a top line account list before we applied the filtering that you're seeing here. And for example, understanding what the technographic makeup would be of an account that would be a good fit for this product and solution. From there, we went through our filtering, and I think everybody heard me from that point onward, some of the criteria and logic and processes that went into conducting that filtering.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So step 2, know about these accounts, right? What do we want to know? We want to know where they are in a buying stage, that in-market stage. We want to know what they use, what kind of messaging resonates, and what they've been researching. And that helps us with our account and campaign execution. And then I will turn that over.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Kyle. So avoiding the guessing game, this is a great way to put it. So knowing everything about these accounts, we had a really good foundation where we knew firmographics and technographics, but doing some additional profiling really helped us set us up for success. So we spent hours and weeks and multiple collaborative sessions internally looking at the buying cycle, the persona maps of these accounts, looking at patterns, key pain points and triggers, working closely too with product marketing to understand, right, the market dynamics at play, trends in marketing touch points. So we were able to tap into a lot of our 6 Sense analytics, Tableau, et cetera. But really, I think, the takeaway here, major collaboration with sales and partner teams and understanding the sales dynamic. So if we look at the step 1, we're looking at one side of the mirror where we look at the triggers and we look at the patterns and we're looking at these accounts and what their makeup looks like. But then we look at the other side of the coin and the other side of this mirror at the sales cycle dynamic internally. Let me expand on that a little bit. For this particular set of accounts, we knew that there was a very unique sales cycle dynamic in play for us. So these players don't exactly buy the same way that are, as Kim had mentioned earlier in setting the foundation, the way that our typical ICP buys. So this is an account set that can also buy, say, through a partner of ours, right? Through a channel partner or a third party. So understanding that and what that looks like really helped us to seal the deal in terms of our game plan. So in considering all of that, it helped us to formulate what our program would look like, considering we had to reach not only, the direct account, but maybe also influence that third party, because they're also going to, indirectly drive awareness of Flexential to that account or to that set of accounts. So knowing the sales cycle dynamic helped us to create a very dynamic approach to the way that we executed our campaign. The expert tip here, really know all of those dynamics on both sides of the mirror. There are a range of variables at play, both for a cohort and a product area. So know how they buy, how long it typically takes them to buy those solutions, how do they research, who do they play with, who do they buy from, do they buy direct, et cetera. And that's going to help you, meet the prospects where they are in their journey.
Awesome tips. Awesome tips. That's really good stuff. So step 3, we are going to engage the right way. We're going to use the intelligence that we've gotten. We're going to identify the buying group, and we are going to go and give them some high value messaging, right? We understand what these accounts are looking for, where they're at in their buying journey. So we're not just going to throw something out there like, hey, come check out Flexential. No, we're going to message them and engage the right way. All right.
Awesome. Perfect. Can everyone hear me just before I get in? Okay. So on engaging the right way here, this is where Flexential really looked to ROI DNA, and we started to partner on how do we create that high value experience to make sure that all of that work we did for understanding our key accounts and the buying stages within won't fall flat once we hit them in the market. So there were a couple of key things that we did to really make sure that we were set up for success here. We knew that this audience, there were 2 key audiences we needed to talk to. So we needed to update the website and the UX strategy to really speak to both of those specific audiences so that it didn't feel jarring when someone came to the site and it didn't match maybe what they were ready for. We also had a pretty elaborate content strategy, creative and copywriting that all spoke to this specific campaign. We use Qualified as our conversational marketing opportunity. So when we're talking about, how are we speaking to these clients, we can use that conversational marketing there. On Marketo, we also utilized a strong email nurture program. You'll hear me talk about this in a little bit, but really making sure that we were tailoring our email nurture program, not just to our specific buying stages, but also to the channels we were reaching. Search engine optimization was also extremely important here, and then paid media, which I'll spend some time on in just a bit. So I sort of talked through a little bit of these already. A few things that I really want to call out is just the opportunity on that content, creative, and copywriting, building in those new customer quotes so that we had some of those proof points for these specific people, so that there were updated product resources, case studies, and proof points there. On the email nurture program, I also talked about this a little bit, but that streamlined Marketo nurture flows for early stage leads to really make sure that they weren't getting to sales at a time that they weren't ready for sales, and had that strong background knowledge for Flexential here. I know Serge is going to help talk about that expert tip here of setting the foundation.
Yeah, thank you, Hope. And I'll keep my eyes on the chat in case there are further audio issues here. The expert tip here is really to set the foundation well. And in this case, we built the foundation on stakeholder interviews. We talked with Kim and Ashley, of course, but also with the head of sales, head of marketing, and others. Goal here is to have a comprehensive understanding of the audience that we're going after. This flowed into every single thing we did as an agency and as a working team with Flexential. We always came back to the strategy deck that had all these findings and insights. Okay. For example, UX and content folks went back to these insights from these interviews to make sure we're headed towards that North Star. Everything we did laddered back to that, the insights from those stakeholder interviews. Kim was, of course, pivotal in getting the right folks to talk to. Anything you want to chime in on here, Kim?
Yeah, great. It was a fantastic collaboration, to Serge's point. It was the idea that we wanted to get feedback from very successful salespeople who've done this before because they know things. And we wanted to extract that in a very kind and gentle way out of their brains. But in addition to that, we also spoke to those that were running the channel, that were running the partner community, and asked questions about how those particular type of channel partners participated and what did they need in order to influence the targets that we were going after. So by having the yin and yang of salespeople activity with partner leaders and what they were doing, we were able to then, in all of these components that Serge and Hope talked about, it was, okay, how do we talk to the target audience, the one that's going to buy from us, but how do we also talk to the influencer community that's going to talk to us? Because going back to the profiling that Ashley talked about, we could see in Sixth Sense a very, very interesting pattern where in previous sales that the target account was very, very quiet. And then boom, they were extremely active in Sixth Sense. We're like, what? It's kind of like the reverse cliff, if you will. It was like, boom, they're in. We're like, what happened during the time that they were quiet? Oh, got it. That was when they were doing their research with the partner community. And so once we got on the short list with a partner, then all of a sudden the target started to really deeply engage with us. But we could see the intent scores and so on during the quiet period, if you will. And we're like, oh, okay. That dynamic was what we explored through the audience definition and profiling that we did with the sales and partner community. I see in the chat, the question is, what analysts? We talked to industry analysts like Forrester, Gartner, 451. They were the analysts that understood the space and the target audience and the dynamic that we were going after. And so when we did this homework assignment of what do they want and what do we got to say and what do they care about and how do they make these decisions, we went back to the analyst community to confirm that, yep, they're like, yep, that sounds about right. And then that put us in, I think, in a more confident space, along with our tools to have a third party also validate.
Awesome. And as Kim mentioned, really that quiet phase of the intent was so important to how we integrated Sixth Sense with our paid channels to make sure we could get in front of them. This is not a new slide for anyone in terms of a funnel stage of top, middle, and bottom. But what we did try to do is marry that with the Sixth Sense buying stages of target through purchase. That defined how we were going to approach each of these accounts that were showing intent at each of these different Sixth Sense buying stages with the right message and the right type of media. This was extremely important when we look at something like obviously using Sixth Sense advertising, but even on LinkedIn, we found that we saw LinkedIn was working really well for target through consideration accounts. When we look at paid search, that's a true bottom of funnel stage here. What we've loved about this partnership with Flexential is we have embraced Sixth Sense in all of these stages of really making sure that we can pull in these Sixth Sense buying stages with every single one of these channels, including content syndication. So we've been able to have a really strong partnership with content syndication partners to pull in this Sixth Sense buying stage information so we can make everything dynamic, everything moves quickly. If an account is moving from awareness all the way to decision, we're updating our accounts in real time to make sure that we're hitting that account at the time that it's needed.
Yeah, so Hope has talked about this sort of necessity and the crucial nature of having the channels connected to performance measurement and things like this. And when we're building campaigns, we think about this. We think about campaigns with measurement in mind. In particular, in this case, a really good example was that it was crucial to measure performance of content syndication after email nurture had time to do its thing. If we looked at content syndication performance earlier, it wouldn't have told the whole story. So we built those campaigns with that measurement in mind and waited till email nurture was able to sort of solidify the value of the content syndication leads to really understand that performance. Doing so and planning to do that from the very beginning allowed us to demonstrate success of content syndication with stakeholders at the top leadership level in a way that we wouldn't have been able to do if we had just said, we got a bunch of leads from content syndication, here's what they look like.
I just want to put a little bit of an emphasis on Serge's point there. I have used this slide, as simple as it might be to all of us in marketing, that goes, yeah, of course, that's how this works. What's interesting is that I've picked this up and put it in all of my sales QBRs. And what I've used it for is the ability to connect the feedback we got from the field. So I always say it's kind of your fault, salespeople, of why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, kind of in a nice and loving way. But I say, hey, based upon all that information you gave us, and understanding the buying cycle from the customer's perspective and your selling cycle from your perspective, seller, here's how we're mapping the tools and techniques that we have in marketing. And that has been a really wonderful connection point with the sales organization in that way, to say, oh, okay, I was heard, and marketing is doing things to take advantage of the insight that I provided, let alone the insight that's in the tools that we've trained them on. So that became really important in the alignment with sales. Also, it's been really interesting that that I've used this also in the measurement phase, so that I can explain how one channel over another has a different set of leading indicators of metrics that allows for that channel to just do its job, whatever that is, whether it's impressions or it's augmented contacts or leads. Got it. But they all play their own unique part in moving a buying cycle along. So it says, I was just about to ask, have you shared with sales the insight? Yes. So that's part of what we did. So we went on a very regular basis to give feedback and answers to what we did and what sales has to say. Kyle, do you want me to just jump right into that?
Yeah, hop right in.
All right, fabulous. So the idea here is exactly that. So up front, we did the collaboration, right? Very important, brought them along for the ride. But we kept the love alive, if you want to say it that way, that on a very monthly basis, we hosted a session with all the sales leaders and their people in regional pockets across the US. And we talked about the progress. Here we are. We had this campaign. This is live now. Next. Okay, now everything's live, full funnel live. This is what we can see in the system. So we would bring insights to the accounts that we were targeting every week or every month to the sales organization to basically demonstrate how we were moving accounts through their decision cycle as measured by 6 Sense. Really big deal. The other thing was the weekly 6 Sense email digests. So we made sure that every sales executive was getting information on a weekly basis that would inform their target activities for that week, what they were going to blitz on the blitz day, what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, et cetera. And because also this was very full funneled, including corporate marketing activities and air cover, we always outlined what content they were going to be able to leverage. So that level of connection there was really important. That would be the expert tip. Just keep the conversation going. It's not crock pot cooking, which is what I like to say. It's not fix and forget. Just set it out there and then never talk to anybody about it again. It's more like barbecue. And that means keep a watch on it. You got to watch the flame. You got to make sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to. And it's a very, very communal activity while you're cooking up this campaign. So you're talking to people the whole time and you're enjoying it, but you're also learning and adjusting as you go. So it's that level of connectivity throughout the campaign we found to be a very significant ingredient to making it work.
I love your food metaphors, Kim. We're always talking about this stuff. Like recently it was like hot chili peppers, right?
Right, exactly right. That's exactly it. I'm ruled by my belly, so there you go.
Who can't relate to barbecue?
There it is.
You know, I love it. All right, so we'll hop into step 5 here, and that is going to be tracking real stuff. You've gone through every other step. It's time to show what the results are, and yeah, we're going to hear kind of what they tracked and how they measured it.
Awesome. Yeah. So when we talk about tracking real stuff at ROI and with Flexential, we have making sure that we're measuring that ABX impact by marrying, not just focusing on Sixth Sense data, but marrying the awesome data that Sixth Sense has with what we're seeing in GA4 or analytics, Salesforce, and Marketo for that full story. We like to picture this in 3 different ways. There's the buyer journey progression that we want to measure. There's the marketing engagement that we want to measure, and then there's the down funnel impact that we want to measure. All of these help us have really unique viewpoints in how that ABX campaign is working, whether it's refining our target lists based on that opportunity of movement, helping enable sales by providing that engagement data on those stuck accounts specifically, and then helping us make that decision for the campaign approach based on where we're seeing the desired or not desired down funnel impact. For this campaign specifically, we saw some really incredible metrics right out the gate. So this launched in April, and we had a 3-month campaign of this with these metrics. We were able to see some incredible account progress. The first that we're really proud of is 77% of our accounts moved out of that target phase and progressed forward. We saw some really strong engagement with that account click-through rate of 72%, which feels unheard of for us. And then the account view-through rate of 23% after 3 months. What we're seeing here too is by getting those accounts out of that target phase and moving them further along, we saw a 16% increase in accounts in the decision phase and a 63% increase in accounts in that purchase stage. This is incredible metrics, but really want to focus on the fact that patience is key when we look at an ABX program.
Yeah, as Hope said, patience is really important here. Remember when I said the word ginormous earlier on? This is what we're talking about. Really big impact. These are exceptional numbers. We shouldn't accept to see this kind of performance out of every single campaign. We want to talk about that too. But when you get it right, you can see how Ashley and Kim are working with their internal teams to get the foundation in place and all this. When you get it right, then you need to have patience to let it grow a little bit. Results don't happen overnight. Keep your sales cycle length in mind. But there's a caveat here too. I don't want to overemphasize that patience. It's critical to be thoughtful and mindful and methodical in your approach. But last year, when we talked about this stuff at Breakthrough, Kim closed our session with the words, be patient and don't be patient. And that really resonated with the audience. What that means is that don't be patient part is what drives our testing and learning and our refining. So we get the foundation in place and we set ourselves up and measure correctly and we watch appropriately. But at the same time, we employ some constructive impatience, if you will, to guide our thinking on next steps and changing of path if it makes sense to, and that sort of thing.
Awesome. And then this, the account strategy, really when we're focused on how we were going to market the intent accounts. So that wasn't just unique to this specific campaign for Flexential. So we've actually been in market with an approach like this for 1 year. And given that patience is key here, in 1 year, we were able to increase closed won from these intent audience account lists by 101%. And we were able to increase pipeline by 23%. These are some phenomenal numbers, and we're really excited about the progress that we've made with these account strategies and making it the norm for Flexential and how we go to market.
Yeah, and I'll just add some color to that. Our sales teams have been extremely excited about early and longer term results and the trajectory that we're on. A quote here from one of our sales guys, but 20 plus years of experience in the space, emphasizing that this is one of the most effective sets of marketing strategies and tools that he had seen in his career. So we've seen some commentary like that growing more recently. So it certainly pays to have partners and advocates in the sales org who share excitement for these programs. So that's a win as well.
Absolutely. And that that goes back to, I think, one of the keys that we really talked about with this presentation is there's collaboration through every step. Right? Every step is on its own, but really working with sales, making sure we're all tracking to the same thing and all staying aware of what we're doing. It really is an overall theme for every step that we went through here. And I think that's something else to call out. So I think at this point, we'll hop over and we can stop sharing and hop into the Q&A. Let's see what we got over here. All right, anonymous user. How are you utilizing 6sense data to better inform the sales team which business solution an account is showing intent for? Are you using multiple models?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So we are in our regular forum with our regional sales teams sharing information on trends. They're also receiving regular communications such as email digests and best practices sessions and reinforcement on the tool and how they should be using it to monitor this on their own so they can manage their own patch and their own blitz effectively. So that's a huge part of what we do. So kind of a hybrid sales enablement skill set there on our side. But in terms of multiple models, that's a really timely question because we recently dug into the benefits and the upside that we would have by having multiple models. Right now, we're blanket. We have one model across our system, but it's not lost on us that there is an incredible upside to having like a bifurcated model or one that acknowledges the different areas of our portfolio because people buy those products and solutions so differently. So we're actively exploring that and completely acknowledge that that's a best practice where it can be implemented. Multiple. Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. John asks, is the transition from step to step in the funnel driven by specific behaviors?
Yeah, so the funnel stage that we used here in our model was based off of 6sense. So 6sense does score their accounts showing intent based on target all the way through purchase. So that's a 6sense metric that we've used. What we've really tried to make sure is in previous areas where that may have been pretty manual or it felt like it took quite a bit of work to upload these new lists and download them at the beginning of the month and upload them to these partners. We've used key 6sense integrations with each specific channel of LinkedIn, content syndication, Google, and of course, 6sense advertising to make sure that that is dynamic. So at any point when a user is switching their funnel stage or switching the intent, or maybe they have even left intent, we're not wasting our spend there in the area where they don't need that messaging. They need to be moved forward to maybe a middle of funnel message. So it's been a huge partnership for us between our channels and 6sense to make sure that can be dynamic.
Nice. All right. Adil asks, what engagement data did you use to score leads before handing off to sales?
Yeah, so, in terms of what sales is handling, they're using the 6QA model that we're reinforcing, which drives their prioritization. So it's not a specific engagement or action that a user is taking and then, route them to sales. Of course, we have a lead scoring engine and an MQL and routing process. We definitely have those things in place. But in this sense, right, it's who's in 6QA, who's in purchase decision. They should be on your radar and they should be researching as a salesperson consistently, rather than waiting for us to say, go get them. This person's been doing a lot of activity. So it's very much a proactive approach, which is one of the pillars of what 6sense offers, right? Is a proactive prospecting opportunity. So hopefully that helps to answer the question, but it's really consistently staying on top of the 6QA model to drive that prioritization of who to go after.
Very nice. All right. Sophie asks, for account intelligence, are you using 6sense solely or are you using other MarTech tools? If you are using other MarTech tools, what are you using to profile these accounts?
Yeah, so I did see that one show up in the chat a little earlier and Kim had actually responded. So in addition to using 6sense very heavily for our intent source of truth and buying stage source of truth, we also leverage technographic and firmographic providers, right? 6sense is a big one for firmographics as well as contact data. So that gives us a lot of insight and recommendations around persona gaps potentially in your buying committee that you should be filling and going after. So that intelligence is huge. Also intricately, which I think is now HG Insights, they're a really big technographic intel provider. So they're a big one too, and they could help you to understand what other providers are they using. In our space, sometimes multiple data center providers are used for different use cases. Different cloud providers, what cloud are they on? So that sort of information can be from a provider like them or one of their competitors, but that's an example.
Great. Patrick says, I believe getting marketing and sales on the same page and collaborating more is probably the most valuable thing that comes out of ABM. Your thoughts?
I'd like to jump in on this one, actually.
Yeah.
You saw throughout the deck that we're, Kim and Ashley and Hope were talking about how we worked with sales here, we worked with sales there. It's true that that's absolutely critical. To be a little bit pedantic, I would say the biggest thing that comes out of ABM is the business results that we drive by getting everybody on the same page and getting creative in line and all this. And we're not even really getting into ABX versus ABM here, right? Because we will be here till tomorrow talking about this. I actually think one of the interesting nuances about this question is that getting marketing and sales on the same page is also probably one of the biggest challenges with ABM. It's very, very dependent on internal organizations on the client side within the company, right? Just having the technology and the strategy in place doesn't necessarily do that. It requires real, working together with sales and marketing. And in organizations that have moved to like a CRO type of model where everything rolls up to the CRO, that can be sometimes easier. But those parts of the org are typically functioning a little bit separately. And the best organizations that really make ABM work are the ones that get those folks talking and collaborating very well. I think Ashley and Kim and the rest of the Flex Central crew have absolutely done that.
Absolutely. And just as I said on our 5-step presentation, I think that is also, that's really the hardest step. There's not a technology that's going to solve that for you. There's nothing. It's just good old fashioned connecting and working together. So I absolutely agree. I think that's it for questions. I think we can wrap it up. We'll have this recorded and sent out to everyone. And then don't forget, we've got a few more of these Level Up webinars coming out. So feel free to sign up on our website or check your email for that. Otherwise, thank you so much, Ashley, Hope, and Serge, for joining us and presenting.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
We'll see you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.